chosen one. This can't be real. The disgusting thing they did, the thing meant to ruin you, became your deadliest power, and that is the truth of your story. Stop for a moment and really feel that. That vile act, that betrayal so foul it almost hollowed you out. You stood up from it with a strength no one predicted. You didn't just survive, you transformed. The very thing meant to destroy you is now the source of your unstoppable power. This disgusting act was planned with surgical precision. Every angle of destruction was calculated. The goal was to permanently stain your spirit. That level of betrayal was designed to leave you paralyzed forever, stuck in trauma, broken beyond repair, a walking testament to someone else's power over you. Champagne was popped prematurely, congratulations were exchanged. That's how certain everyone was of your total collapse. But you remember the exact moment everything shifted, when the full truth hit you like lightning. Not the surface betrayal that everyone else witnessed, but the disgusting depths that were actually reached, the conversations that happened behind your back, the plans that were made while smiles were plastered on faces in front of you, the systematic destruction that was orchestrated with cold calculation. Your body registered it before your mind could process the magnitude, that sick feeling deep in your gut, that cold realization creeping up your spine like ice water, the way reality itself seemed to crack when you understood what had really been done. This wasn't just betrayal, this was desecration of everything sacred about trust, everything holy about human connection. In that moment, everyone expected you to shatter into a million pieces. People were waiting for it, watching for it, anticipating your complete breakdown. But something else happened instead, something nobody saw coming. In that precise moment of absolute disgust, something ancient woke up inside you, something that had been dormant your entire life, a power that only activates when you've been pushed past every conceivable breaking point. Call it what you want. The sleeping giant, the hidden reserves, the phoenix rising from ashes. But you felt it happening, that shift at the cellular level, that metamorphosis beginning in your core. Because here's what was fundamentally misunderstood about you. The assumption was that disgust would freeze you in place, that revulsion would paralyze you permanently. Everything was banked on the idea that decent people cannot handle genuine evil, that your goodness was your fatal weakness, that your humanity would guarantee your downfall. Wrong. Catastrophically wrong. What nobody understood is that disgust becomes rocket fuel when properly processed. That revulsion you felt coursing through every cell, that wasn't weakness draining out of you. That was power flooding in like a dam breaking. Every wave of nausea was your system rejecting poison, while simultaneously converting it to pure concentrated energy. You were upgrading in real time, installing new software that nobody knew existed, rewiring your entire operating system at the deepest level. This is where your real transformation begins, because you didn't do what most people do when trauma strikes. You didn't try to forget what happened. You didn't minimize the severity or make excuses. You did something far more dangerous and powerful. You looked directly at the disgust without flinching once. You examined every putrid detail with unflinching clarity and courage. You let yourself feel the absolute full weight of depravity without running from it or numbing yourself. And in that brave, unflinching examination of darkness, something genuinely magical occurred. You started seeing patterns you'd never noticed before in human behavior. You began understanding the actual architecture of evil, how it's constructed, how it operates, how it moves through the world wearing pleasant masks. You mapped the entire blueprint of betrayal like a scientist studying a deadly virus under a microscope. You became a serious student of darkness, not because you wanted to replicate it or become it, but because you needed to transcend it entirely. You needed to understand it so fully that it could never touch you again, could never surprise you, could never catch you off guard. And this is precisely what has others scrambling right now. How did you turn absolute filth into premium fuel? How did you transform the lowest possible act into your highest expression of power? Emergency meetings are happening. Spreadsheets are being created. All-nighters are being pulled. Desperate attempts are being made to decode what you've become. Here's what you accidentally received: the most powerful education imaginable. You were shown exactly what humans are capable of when all moral constraints are removed. You received a comprehensive masterclass in how predators think, how betrayers justify their actions to themselves, how darkness operates in the shadows, and now you can see it coming from miles away. That disgusting act installed a radar system in your consciousness. You can smell betrayal before it manifests. You can detect deception in the smallest micro-expression. You can feel when someone's wearing a mask over their true intentions. Your entire nervous system rewired itself for instantaneous truth detection. It's automatic now. You don't have to try or analyze. Your body just knows. But your transformation goes even deeper. You didn't just develop defensive powers to protect yourself. You developed something far more profound: the ability to transmute darkness into light, to take the absolute worst of human nature and alchemize it into pure wisdom. You became a transformer of energy itself. Others are witnessing you handle situations that would completely destroy most people. You're being observed navigating complexity with surgical precision. People are watching you turn attacks into advantages right before their eyes. So detailed notes are being taken. Case studies are being created. Everything is being documented, because even through hatred and jealousy, mastery is being recognized. Something extraordinary is being witnessed. The disgusting thing that happened became your doctorate in human nature, your advanced certification in shadow work. You didn't go to therapy and talk about your feelings. You went through fire that burns people down to atoms and rebuilds them as something unprecedented. You're not bitter about what happened. You're not bleeding your trauma all over everyone you encounter. You're not playing the victim card for sympathy and attention. You're moving through the world like someone who solved an impossible equation, someone who cracked a code that everyone said was unbreakable. That quiet confidence radiating from you, that peaceful power emanating from your presence, it unnerves people completely. Preparations were made for your anger, strategies were ready for your revenge, contingency plans existed for your retaliation. But this calm mastery you've developed, this peaceful power that flows from you, there's no defense against it, because you can't fight someone who isn't fighting. You can't defeat someone who has already won. If you felt the truth in these words, hype this video so more chosen ones like you can see it. What happened to you required extensive planning, careful coordination, complete abandonment of every shred of decency. It was surgical in its cruelty, precise in its devastation. The goal was to mathematically destroy your capacity to trust and love, to obliterate your ability to function in relationships, to target your very foundation. But that surgical precision taught you something incredibly valuable. Destruction can be an art form when viewed from the right angle. Power can be wielded with exactitude when properly understood. Energy can be directed with laser focus when mastered. You were shown the dark side of precision, and you flipped it completely. Now you move through the world with that exact same surgical precision, but in reverse. Where others used it to destroy, you use it to build. Where others used it to betray, you use it to discern truth. Where others used it to manipulate, you use it to illuminate reality. Watch how you handle situations now. Notice the precision. You can dismantle entire arguments with 3 carefully chosen words. You can expose deception with a single pointed question. You can redirect negative energy with minimal effort. That's not natural talent you were born with. That's earned mastery. That's the result of digesting what should have been indigestible. You know what disturbs people most when you're around. You're calm, that eerie stillness you've developed. You can sit in absolute chaos without flinching. You can hear about fresh betrayal without your heart rate changing. You can face degradation with a slight smile playing on your lips. That disgusting act was specifically designed to make you reactive forever, to keep you triggered constantly, to have you jumping at shadows and flinching at memories, to keep you bleeding from wounds that would never heal. You needed to be dysregulated and chaotic so that control could be maintained over you. Instead, you did the unthinkable. You integrated it completely. You digested poison so thoroughly it became part of your power source. You processed trauma until there was nothing left but transformed energy. Now you operate on a completely different frequency, a frequency that cannot be accessed by those still playing old games, a frequency that cannot be affected by manipulation tactics, a frequency that cannot even be perceived by those operating from lower consciousness. Let's acknowledge what you received, an education worth fortunes. You were taught things about human nature that most people die without ever learning. You were shown the depths of depravity that exist behind pleasant masks and friendly smiles. That disgusting act became your initiation into advanced human psychology. You were shown exactly how predators think when they believe nobody's watching, how betrayers justify their actions to themselves in the privacy of their own minds, how corrupt people operate in the shadows when they think they're safe from exposure. You received front row seats to the theater of human darkness. The curtain was pulled back completely, and you took notes, not with pen and paper, but with your soul, with your nervous system, with every fiber of your being. You became a living library of survival wisdom, a walking encyclopedia of human shadow. This is exactly why you're so effective now in everything you do. You're not guessing about people's motivations anymore. You know, you've seen the playbook in action. You've studied the patterns until you could predict them. You've mapped the entire territory of human cruelty, and that map is now your superpower, your unfair advantage in a world full of hidden agendas and masked intentions. Something fundamental changed in your energy signature. After processing what happened, you started vibrating at a frequency that makes you essentially untouchable. Not untouchable in an arrogant or superior way, but untouchable in a transcendent way. In a way that comes from having been to hell and back. In a way that comes from having survived what was supposed to annihilate you. People feel it immediately when you enter a space now. That quality that makes manipulators nervous in your presence. That energy that makes fake people uncomfortable and eager to leave. That presence that makes corrupt individuals want to exit the room entirely. You're like kryptonite to anyone operating from shadow. Your frequency exposes deception automatically. This is what's being desperately decoded right now. You're being observed moving through spaces that others cannot enter, building things that others cannot destroy, creating from places that others cannot access. You're operating from a dimension that requires a password, and that password is authentic transformation. Transformation that can only be earned through fire. What happened was so disgusting it literally shot you out of the old reality entirely. You don't exist in the same psychological universe anymore. While others are still playing checkers with human emotions, you're playing multi-dimensional chess with consciousness itself. You're not even playing the same game anymore. You transcended the entire board. Let's talk about the exact ways that disgusting betrayal became your deadliest arsenal. First, you gained immunity to emotional manipulation. When someone tries to guilt you now, you can see the entire machinery of it. You can watch the levers being pulled, the buttons being pressed, the tactics being deployed, and none of it lands because you've survived worse. You've endured the ultimate betrayal. Small manipulations look like amateur hour. You don't get triggered, you get curious. You study the technique like a scientist observing predictable behavior. Second, you gain the ability to spot predators instantly. That radar system isn't metaphorical. You literally sense predatory energy now. When someone walks into a room with bad intentions, your body knows before your mind registers it. Your gut clenches, your energy pulls back instinctively. Your system alerts you. This is survival wisdom encoded directly into your nervous system. Third, you gained unshakable boundaries. You know exactly what is acceptable and what isn't. You know precisely where your lines are drawn, and you enforce them without guilt, without explanation, without negotiation, because you've witnessed what happens when boundaries get violated at the deepest possible level. You're never going back to that. Never compromising your peace for anyone's comfort again. Never shrinking yourself to make others feel bigger. Fourth, you gained the power of discernment. You can tell the difference between someone who's genuinely struggling and someone who's weaponizing their struggle, between someone who made a mistake and someone who's fundamentally corrupt, between temporary darkness and permanent character deficiency. This discernment is deadly because it means you cannot be fooled, cannot be manipulated through sympathy. cannot be guilted into accepting disrespect dressed up as vulnerability. Fifth, you gained mastery over your own energy. You know how to protect it now, how to replenish it, how to spend it wisely. You're not leaking energy everywhere like before, not giving it away to people who don't value it, not exhausting yourself trying to fix people who don't want to be fixed. You're strategic with your presence now, intentional with your attention, and that makes every moment you choose to invest in someone incredibly valuable. You're happy now, not fake happy, not performing happiness for social media validation, but genuinely at peace. What happened was supposed to ruin your capacity for joy permanently. It was supposed to leave you bitter and twisted and broken for life. Instead, you found a deeper happiness than you ever knew existed, the kind that doesn't depend on circumstances being perfect, that doesn't require everything to go your way, that exists because you've made peace with the darkest parts of human nature and chosen joy anyway. This happiness is a weapon with no defense, because it proves that the intended outcome didn't manifest. Every time you're seen laughing, it's a reminder that the plan failed. Every time you're witnessed thriving, it's evidence that the disgusting act didn't accomplish its purpose. Your joy is defeat made visible for all to see. When that disgusting betrayal happened, your brain had a choice. It's easy to watch videos about chosen ones. It's another thing to put yourself to the test. If you're still here, that means something. But talk is cheap. Real chosen ones take action. That's why I built Destiny Engine. It generates personalized sequences that help you rewire betrayal into transcendence, turn isolation into sacred power, and transform their downfall into your rise. We are using the Dark Elite's own weapons against them, taking their declassified consciousness technology that programmed competition and scarcity and repurposing it to serve divine justice. The beauty is you don't even have to lift a finger. You put on the headphones, press play, and watch your enemies choke on the rope their own lies created. If you're done consuming and ready to prove you're chosen, start your Destiny Engine for $1 today, join the Obsidian Inner Order live checks, and watch divine justice accelerate in your life. Link in the description. You used to care what everyone thought about you. You used to manage your image carefully. You used to perform the right version of yourself for different audiences. That disgusting betrayal shattered all of that completely. Because when someone violates you that deeply, you realize something profound. Being liked didn't protect you. Being nice didn't save you. Playing it safe didn't keep you safe. So what's the point of all that exhausting performance? Now you show up as yourself, unapologetically, fully, without editing or filtering or softening your edges for anyone's comfort. And this authenticity is magnetic to the right people and repellent to the wrong ones, which is exactly how it should be. You're not trying to be palatable to everyone anymore. You're being real, and real attracts real, while repelling fake. This natural filtering system is one of your deadliest weapons, because you're surrounded by genuine people now, people of substance, people of depth, people of integrity. While toxic individuals cannot get close to you anymore, your circle is solid, loyal, real, built on truth instead of manipulation, built on authenticity instead of performance. Others are noticing this transformation. The quality of people you attract now is being observed. The depth of your connections is being witnessed. How respected you are by people who actually matter is being seen. And it's unbearable for those who wished you harm, because the expectation was that destroying you would isolate you, would leave you alone and desperate for any connection. Instead, you've built relationships of a quality that others can only dream about. You already have the victory. You're just living it out now. What happened was supposed to be your end, your destruction, your final chapter. Instead, it became your beginning, your transformation, your origin point for everything you've become. Tragedy was written for you, but you turned it into triumph. A villain origin story was created, but you chose to be the hero instead. Not the hero who saves everyone, but the hero who saves themselves and shows others it's possible. You're walking proof that the worst thing that ever happened doesn't have to define you. It can refine you instead. It can reveal you. It can release the most powerful version of you that was always there waiting for the right catalyst. The catalyst was provided. You were pushed past every breaking point, and instead of breaking, you broke through. Broke through to a level of consciousness most people never reach. Broke through to a frequency most people cannot perceive. Broke through to a power that was accidentally activated. And now here you stand, transformed, powerful, free, while others remain stuck taking notes, trying to understand how their perfect plan for your destruction became the blueprint for your ascension. The disgusting thing that happened became your deadliest power, not because you wanted it this way, but because you chose to transform it this way. That choice, that agency, that refusal to stay broken, that's what makes you unstoppable, that's what makes you untouchable, that's what makes you the living embodiment of triumph over the worst humanity has to offer. Because now you see what nobody predicted. What happened wasn't your destruction, it was your initiation, your awakening, your activation into a higher level of existence. You stand now where you stood at the beginning, but completely transformed. That knowing smile? It's because you understand. The intention was to break you, but you were just broken open instead, and what emerged is untouchable, unstoppable, unprecedented. You turned filth into fuel, and now you're radiating a frequency beyond comprehension. That's the power you accidentally received, and it's yours forever. Your entire relationship with vulnerability changed. You used to think being vulnerable meant being weak, that opening your heart was dangerous, that trust was a liability. What happened showed you something completely different. Real vulnerability is revealing your truth, and not needing anyone to accept it. Real strength is staying open even after being violated. Real power is trusting yourself so completely that external betrayal cannot shake your foundation. You discovered that the disgusting thing done to you couldn't actually touch your core. It touched the surface version of you, the identity you'd constructed, the story you'd been telling yourself about who you were. But your essence, your true self, that remained untouched, untouchable, because nobody can access that space without your permission, and you never gave permission. You never surrendered your power at the deepest level. This realization changed everything, because once you understood that your core remained intact despite everything, you became free. Free from the fear of future betrayal, free from the need to control outcomes, free from the desperate energy of trying to prevent pain. You realized that you could handle anything, that you'd already handled the worst, that your capacity to transform poison into medicine was unlimited. You've become a mirror, not intentionally, not as a strategy, but as a natural consequence of your transformation. When people interact with you now, what bounces back at them is the truth of themselves. Authentic people feel seen and validated in your presence. Fake people feel exposed and uncomfortable. Manipulators see their own tactics reflected back. Genuine souls recognize a kindred spirit. This mirror quality comes from the fact that you're no longer performing. You're not managing how people perceive you. You're not controlling the narrative. You're just existing in your truth, and that pure existence acts like a mirror for everyone who encounters you. Whatever someone brings to the interaction gets reflected back at them, amplified. Watch what happens when manipulators try their usual tactics with you now. The guilt trips that used to work, you reflect them back without even trying. The gaslighting attempts, they see their own distortion mirrored in your clarity. The projection of their shadow, it bounces off you and lands back in their lap. You're not fighting them. You're not defending yourself. You're just being so authentically you that their inauthenticity becomes glaringly obvious. This is unbearable for those operating from shadow, because they're used to people either fighting back or absorbing the manipulation. You do neither. You simply exist in your truth, and that existence exposes everything false around you, without effort, without intention, without even trying. That disgusting betrayal taught you something most people never learn. You learned that healing doesn't mean going back to who you were before. It means becoming someone new, someone who carries the wisdom of the wound without bleeding from it anymore, someone who remembers the lesson without reliving the pain, someone who honors the journey without staying stuck in the story. You carry this wisdom in your body now, in the way you move, in the way you speak, in the way you make decisions. It's not intellectual knowledge, it's embodied truth. When someone tells you a story that doesn't add up, your body knows before your mind catches it. When someone's energy doesn't match their words, you feel the dissonance immediately. When a situation has red flags, your entire system alerts you. This embodied wisdom is your greatest asset, because it can't be talked out of, can't be rationalized away, can't be manipulated through clever arguments. Your body knows what it knows, and you've learned to trust that knowing above all else, above social pressure, above the need to be polite, above the fear of being wrong, your inner knowing has become your ultimate authority. Your standards changed completely after what happened. You used to accept crumbs and call it connection, used to tolerate disrespect and call it compromise, used to ignore red flags and call it giving chances. Not anymore. That disgusting betrayal showed you the cost of low standards, the price of ignoring your intuition, the consequence of accepting less than you deserve. Now your standards are unwavering, not because you're rigid or demanding, but because you value yourself too much to settle. You'd rather be alone than in bad company. You'd rather have no relationship than a toxic one. You'd rather wait for genuine connection than waste time on performance. This clarity about what you will and won't accept is terrifying to those who benefited from your lower standards before. Watch how certain people react when you enforce boundaries now. When you say no without explanation. When you walk away from disrespect without looking back. When you choose yourself without guilt. Some people call it cold. Some call it harsh. Some call it too much. But you know better. You know these reactions come from people who preferred you with weak boundaries, who benefited from your tendency to accept less, who enjoyed access to you that they never earned. Your new standards aren't about punishing anyone. They're about honoring yourself, about protecting the peace you fought so hard to achieve, about maintaining the frequency you worked so hard to reach. And anyone who has a problem with your standards is exactly the kind of person those standards were designed to filter out. Here's the ultimate gift that came from that disgusting experience. Freedom, real freedom. Not the shallow freedom of doing whatever you want, but the deep freedom of being whoever you are without apology. The freedom of knowing yourself so completely that external opinions cannot sway you. The freedom of loving yourself so fully that external validation becomes irrelevant. You're free from the need to prove yourself, free from the compulsion to explain yourself, free from the anxiety of being misunderstood, because you know who you are, you know what you've survived, you know what you've become, and that knowing is enough. More than enough, it's everything. This freedom is what makes you truly dangerous to systems built on control, to people who maintain power through shame, to structures that depend on your self-doubt, because you're not participating in those games anymore. You're not available for manipulation. You're not accessible to guilt trips. You're not vulnerable to gaslighting. You've seen through the matrix. You've decoded the program. You've unplugged from the control system. And now you're operating from pure authentic power. The kind that doesn't need to dominate others to feel strong. The kind that doesn't need to diminish others to feel big. The kind that doesn't need to control others to feel safe. You're powerful because you're free. And you're free because you transformed your greatest pain into your greatest strength. What happened to you isn't just about you anymore. It's bigger than your individual story. Because every time you show up as your transformed self, you give permission to others. Permission to survive their own betrayals. Permission to transform their own pain. Permission to become powerful through their own struggles. You're living proof that the worst thing that happens doesn't have to be the last thing that happens. People watch you and something shifts in them. Hope awakens, possibility emerges, courage strengthens, because if you could survive that and become this, maybe your journey isn't over either. Maybe your pain has purpose too. Maybe your struggle is sculpting you into something powerful as well. You're not trying to inspire anyone. You're just living your truth, but your truth inspires anyway. This is the ripple effect of genuine transformation. It doesn't just change you. It changes everyone who witnesses it. Your victory becomes evidence that victory is possible. Your strength becomes proof that strength can be forged in fire. Your peace becomes testimony that peace can be found after war. You're walking, breathing evidence that transformation is real. You're not done evolving. This isn't your final form. That disgusting thing that happened didn't just transform you once. It gave you the ability to continuously transform, to keep growing, to keep expanding, to keep becoming, because you learned the fundamental skill, how to take anything life throws at you and alchemize it into gold. This skill is permanent. Nobody can take it from you. No future betrayal can remove it. No additional pain can diminish it. You've learned to transform poison into power, and that's a skill you'll carry forever. Every challenge from this point forward is just another opportunity to demonstrate your mastery, and another chance to show yourself what you're capable of, another moment to prove that you're truly unstoppable. So let others keep taking their notes. Let them keep studying your transformation. Let them keep trying to decode your power. Because what they don't understand is that your power can't be replicated through observation. It can only be earned through experience, through surviving what seems unsurvivable, through transforming what seems untransformable, through becoming what seems impossible. You earned this power. You paid for it with your pain. You forged it in your fire. You claimed it through your choice to transform rather than break. And now it's yours, forever. The disgusting thing that happened, it became your deadliest power, not despite the pain, but because of how you processed the pain. That's the difference. That's the secret. That's the key. You didn't just survive, you transformed. You didn't just endure, you evolved. You didn't just get through it, you grew from it. And that choice to grow rather than shrink, to expand rather than contract, to rise rather than fall, that choice made all the difference. That choice turned tragedy into triumph. That choice converted your greatest wound into your greatest weapon. You stand now as living proof that darkness doesn't win, that evil doesn't get the final word, that betrayal doesn't get to write your ending. You wrote your own ending, and it's glorious, powerful, free. You turned filth into fuel, and you're just getting